In today's video, we'll look at integrating Elastic Webinar with other systems using Zapier. In the left navigation menu, under the Settings item, and in the Integrations tab, you have a unique API code that you will use to connect to the Zapier service. Do not share this code with anyone, and if you suspect that it has been used by someone else, you can regenerate it. It is important to note that when you regenerate the code, existing connections to other systems will be lost. Here you will see a few predefined Zapier templates that you can use, but we will show you manual steps from the very beginning that you can apply to any integration. Open the Zapier page, which currently looks like this. It is necessary to register with this service. Zapier currently also has a free plan, which can be found under their pricing. Depending on how many integrations you need to create and how many users you have, Zapier offers different plans. After registration, it is necessary to go through a few more steps, but the goal is for you to find yourself in the dashboard, where you will later see the individual integrations. Individual integrations are called zaps. Then there are the so-called tasks, which are the number of events sent from our platform to the Zapier service. For example, one registration is one task, and one attendee arrival in the live room is also one task. With the Create button, we start the process of creating a new Zap. The first step is to select the trigger item. Search for the Elastic Webinar and select it. The following is a selection of the so-called event. We currently offer these three. Attendee Join Webinar. This is an event that is triggered when your user comes to the webinar. Attendee Missed Webinar. This is an event that is triggered when your user misses the webinar. New Webinar Registration. This is an event that is triggered when your user fills out the registration form. For our example, we will select the event New Webinar Registration and continue with the Continue button. In the next step, you need to connect Zapier with the Elastic Webinar API key that you have in the administration. Click Sign In and enter the API key. After verification, continue to the next step with the Continue button. In the Trigger section, you can choose a specific webinar that will be processed by the integration, or you can leave this field empty and all registrations from all webinars will be processed by this trigger. We will leave this box empty. Continue with the Continue button to the next step called Test. Click on the Test Trigger button, which will test your connection, and you may receive a message that you need to create a registration for your webinar. If no user has recently registered for your webinar, then Zapier cannot get the necessary information. Therefore, we will now create one test registration. Move to the Webinar section in the administration. Open the webinar registration page and register with any email. After registering the user, return to the Zapier service and test the trigger again. It will find you a registered user and some information that you can process. Important are, for example, name and email of the user that you can use, for example, for your email marketing tool. But there is also more advanced data, such as session date or a unique link to the live room of the given user. We also forward these marketing tags. Now continue with the Continue with Selected Record button. In the next step, you need to choose what you want to do with the data, and there are several thousand integrations to choose from that you can connect to Elastic Webinar. Since each integration has its own specifics, it is not possible to create a uniform guide for this, and therefore, as an example, we will choose to save data in Google Sheets, where we will save the records in a table under the item Create Spreadsheet row. Select this option and continue with the Continue button. Now it is necessary to log into your Google Drive account and create a spreadsheet that we will use for this integration. We will now open Google Spreadsheet and create one blank document, which we will name Test Spreadsheet. Once we have the file created, we go back to Zapier and sign in with our Google account. After logging in, we move to the next section with the Continue button. In the Action section, select My Google Drive, where our new spreadsheet will be displayed. We choose Sheet 1, which is there, and we find that we have no columns. Therefore, we move to Google Sheets and create, for example, name and email columns. After creating the columns, we return to Zapier again and click on Refresh Fields. We will see these two fields, and for a specific field, we will select the correct value to be filled in the column. After selecting all the boxes, we continue with the Continue button, and in the next step, we can already test whether the record can be added. We will check Google Drive where we will see the test recording. If you are satisfied with the result, continue with the Publish button and your new ZAT is successfully created. Move to the dashboard where you will see it and you can rename it later. Now create a new registration for your webinar, and after a few minutes, the user will also be in your spreadsheet. It usually takes up to 5 minutes. In this video, we showed the possibility of connecting Elastic Webinar with other systems via the Zapier service.